kind of like, he was a newscaster, he was a political commentator, he was a comedian, he was an orator, he was, all of these things wrapped into one, into kind of modern contemporary bardcraft. So reflecting on this, so a few kind of conclusions to draw out of this. Community, all of these performance traditions bring us together in community. They're about togetherness. They're an interface, yeah, and essentially they're about power, because there's a peer-to-peer interaction in which people share their story. So it's about testimony. Performance is about testimony. Testifying is absolutely essential to all of these things. It's also, as I mentioned, a way that we metabolize. Yeah, it's kind of like organic metaphor of metabolize means to kind of like digest, or to change, or to or to interface with the world around you, right? So we're metabolizing stories, we're metabolizing ideas, we're metabolizing solidarity, relationships, love, right? This is how we come together. This is how we learn. This is how we joy. This is how we dream. I was radicalized about 20 years ago by seeing poets get up in Oxford and talk about climate camp. And I'm like, I don't know what climate camp is, but I want to go there. That's exciting. And these poems, they were lighting me up artistically, emotionally, intellectually. I was becoming radicalized through art. And this is the role that art plays, is it makes beautiful ideas sexy. That's the role of all of us artists in social movements. Um, I used to, and if anybody has been with me on this journey of the last 15 years, many, many years ago, I'd write very angry, ranty poems. It was always funny and it was always interactive, but I kind of realized that I was kind of like shouting people's own opinions back at them. And after a while, I realized that my role at protests and encampments and whatever it might be, coal mines, wherever I might find myself, was not to actually tell people anything that they already knew. They don't need telling. You don't have to tell activists anything. They know it far better than you. The role of the artist is to make um, activists feel like they're part of something bigger. It's much more of a spiritual endeavor than it is an intellectual one. It's about feeling part of a global movement, of a global current of change, of some mycorrhizal emergence, of some breath, some wind that's moving through, and just carrying that sentiment, just like feeding that dream, just allowing that dream to reach and to breathe a little further and a little deeper. Absolutely central to what I do now. I don't really write anything about any particular issues. I just show up and I try as best I can in whatever humble way I'm given by the traditions that I belong to as a poet, to generate community, make people feel together, and make people feel part of something bigger than themselves. Beautiful quote from Charles Bernstein: "The forms of oppression rob a people of its right to poetry. Poetry and the crisis for poetry is to create a space for poetry again and again." I'll read it again. "Forms of oppression rob a people of its right to poetry, and the crisis for poetry is to create a space for poetry again and again." You could change the word poetry for art. Capitalism is crisis, as the banner reads. Capitalism is an assault on imagination. Capitalism is an assault on creativity. Capitalism is a crisis of our spare time. The role of the artist is to create a space for art again and again, so that these stories and these testimonies and these dreams can live and breathe. I'm going to stop there. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Wow, Pete, thank you so much. That was such a journey. Absolutely incredible, really sparked my mind in a lot of places. So, folks, down at the bottom of the screen, there's a react button. If you stop sharing the screen, Pete, we can see everyone's, and you can raise a hand like I've just done there if you want to ask a question, make a comment, or some feedback. Just while you're getting your questions ready, just to say, Pete, that was absolutely amazing. Just you reminded me of the first day of the steps of St. Paul's, and there's a BBC journalist. You were saying about poets reminding people they're part of a massive movement. On the first day of St. Paul's, Occupy St. Paul's, there was a BBC journalist saying, today over 900 cities have got occupations going on. And I think Danny told me the other day, around its peak, there were about 2,000 cities with occupies going on, experimenting with direct democracy, horizontal organising. What an incredible thing to be part of. And we are all part of a movement of many movements. So